Welcome to my sewing room. The theme of the show today is Normandy Lace. Now some of you might be thinking, what in the world is Normandy Lace? Well, that's what I'm going to show you. Normandy Lace is a technique of applying, let me put my hand under here so you can see, of applying lace onto English netting or French netting, or for that matter, American netting will be fine also. The lace is simply stitched down, and here's some decorative stitching that's stitched right in the little diamonds, and a really sweet, if you look down here right on the bottom with me, a really sweet little machine-made rose and some pretty little machine decorative stitching. The second example of Normandy lace I have for you is a really wonderful collar. The collar is everything is stitched on the netting. It has a beautiful English netting that goes around the edge. One of the nicest things about this collar is that it is detachable, so it can be used on a number of different garments. And for us busy moms and grandmoms, that is really important. This particular Normandy lace, we cheated a little bit on this one. You see the embroidery on the bottom. Actually, this is English embroidered netting lace. And then I made the little diamonds at the top. That would be considered the Normandy lace part of this dress. Normandy lace is not just for children. Normandy lace can be very beautiful on adult garments also. This particular dress is a handkerchief linen in a sort of a real pale seafoam blue. And the netting is right on the V on this dress. And guess what? The pretty little lace shapes and all of the little goodies which are sewn on here, the little motifs, are stitched right on top of that netting for an absolutely lovely technique for you, your children, or your home, or your dolls, as you will see on the show today. Come with me over to the technique boards, and I will share with you how easy it is for you to make the beautiful Normandy lace. To make Normandy lace, I begin with a piece of netting, a piece of water-soluble stabilizer, and I draw off the design on a piece of paper. All right, the piece of paper is first, next comes the water-soluble stabilizer, and next comes the netting, or what happens next. This is the fun part. In order to shape lace, I stick pins, curved lace that is. As you can see, this lace makes a curve. I put pins on the big side of the curve. In other words, this side of the curve. Now look here what happens when I go around to make a loop. I put the pins once again on the big side of the loop. Can you see how these pins are almost laying flat? Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. Then when I move over to this side, once again I put pins on the big side of the curve. Now in order to make this lay down flat, I have to make, see this is kind of floppy, it sticks out. That is not what we want. I come in here and I pull one of the 4 gathering threads. French and English laces have 4 gathering threads built into the heading. What is the heading? This side and this side are the headings. Now watch what happens. You see it's all floppy up in here too. I've got to do something to make this lace curve lay down. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to, ooh, looky there. Oh, I just pull the string and just like magic it lays down. Now that's all there is to making lace curves. Let's move over to the next little sample here. I'm going to bring this lace curve down, and that isn't really a curve. I have to make a miter here. So let me see how we're going to make a miter. All right, I shape the lace, then I come in here and put a pin at the bottom, and I've already put a pin at the top, so look what I do next. I fold it back on itself, remove the pin right here at the top. In other words, I folded this lace right back on itself, remove the top pin, and look here when I fold it around, voila, that absolutely perfect miter is folded in. Now then, before I go over to the sewing machine and show you how I sew it, this is how you pin it. Do you see how I pin it flat before I actually begin to sew? Now, I promised you we were going to sew, so let's go over here. I have my sample waiting for me to sit down and actually sew some of this Normandy lace. The first thing that I do, as you remember, was to put the design onto a piece of paper. In this case, I have drawn it onto a piece of tissue paper. Now then, the next step, of course, is to go ahead and shape the lace This time I've used a really sweet little shape. I've used a simple bow. All right, now I'm going to pull a string in order to make this lace. Now you see we've got, once again, floppy lace. This is so much fun to do. Some people call this Martha's Magic. But now watch what happens. I have a string. I'm going to simply pull that string, and look at there. That little bow just laid down just as pretty as can be. Now then that I've shaped it and I'm going to press it a little bit, it is now time to sew it. Now then, all I'm going to use to sew it down, I'm going to use a simple zigzag. I think I have my width set on 2 and my length set on 3. But you know what? There's really no magic width and length when you're doing a zigzag. I'm just going to sew. Now, what am I sewing through? I have my water-soluble stabilizer. I have my English netting. And of course, I have my lace shaped into this sweet, sweet little bow. And I'm just zigzagging and zigzagging and zigzagging all the way around this bow. Now then, I'm getting ready to come up into an area where the laces meet. Okay, now let me look under here and see if I'm quite there yet. No, not quite there yet, about 2 or 3 more stitches. And then I'm going to stop. And you notice I have my needle in needle down position. So I've stopped. Then I'm going to lift the presser foot. I do not sew over the area where those laces have crossed. Actually, you want to know a secret? If you want to sew over those areas, it is perfectly all right to sew over them, because you probably know there are no real rights and wrongs. What is right depends on what you think is right and what you think looks the prettiest. So let's go on back. Now that I've veered around, I'm going to begin to zigzag right over this little bow area, and I'm going to go all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, just kind of going really slowly to go all the way around the bow. Now then, I'm going to stop sewing now, because let me show you something. And by the way, when I want to raise that needle, I just go plop right back on that foot pedal, and it came right up. Now then, here I have sewn it. Do you see the blue threads that go right around here? There I zigzagged all the way around. And here I zigzag all the way around. And if you can look at the bow, I've zigzagged all the way around the bow on the outside and the inside. Now there's one more little thing I want to show you. Most bows, as you know, have a bow tie. So I have a little folded piece of lace, which after doing my initial zigzagging, you see this little folded piece of lace right here? After doing all of my initial zigzagging, I will go back and zigzag around that little bow, and voila, I have a really beautiful Normandy lace bow. And as you can see, it consists mainly of lace shaping and zigzagging. That's it. Water-soluble stabilizer, netting, zigzagging. Now then, I have another exciting project to show you. This series, we're featuring a woman's blouse. And the blouse for today is absolutely a beautiful blouse with this wonderful raglan sleeve. And the blouse for today has Normandy lace stitched on the top. By the way, the blouse is a lovely silk dupioni fabric. The netting is English, and the laces are shaped. That pretty little bow I just showed you, well, here it is on this blouse. Now let me show you how this particular treatment came to be on this blouse. First of all, I drew the design off. I took the panel, the front panel of the blouse, that is going to be my netting, and I drew the design off. Second step comes, you can go ahead and shape these pieces right here. In other words, the big outside pieces. Shape them and zigzag them. Now you say, Martha, shape them on what? Okay. Once again, I have a piece of netting right here. My bottom layer is netting, and the top layer is water-soluble stabilizer. I stitch them through those 2 layers. Now the next layer down here is when I get ready to put my bow on. So I'm going to lace shape the bow. This time there's flip-flopping and lace shaping, and I've finished putting all of the goodies on, and then guess what? You take the actual blouse. Can you see the blouse piece underneath here? Sure you can. I cut out the actual blouse front as if it were going to be just the plain fabric. Then I take my created piece, in other words, the piece of netting with all the lace shaping on it. I take my created piece, I put it right on top of this blouse, and on the outside only, in this green thread here, I zig and I zag, and I zigzag it right to the whole fabric, and then I go in behind and cut away the actual blouse fabric. So now then my Normandy lace, can you see that? I bet you can. The Normandy lace is stitched right on top of the blouse fabric that is left. And here is the beautiful blouse after I have stitched all of the goodies onto that, and that's absolutely all you do to make a Normandy lace treatment on the front of, say, a blouse. Do you see how easy it is to make Normandy lace? The three main ingredients are a piece of netting, water-soluble stabilizer, and your laces. You can shape any design, any way that you want to in order to make Normandy lace. Normandy lace is not just for clothes. We have a pillow that I really believe one day will be in a museum. It is so pretty. We've used Normandy lace on a pillow for your home. I'll show you that next. I think this pillow is one of the most beautiful that we've ever made in our collection of gorgeous heirloom goodies. This particular pillow I call the Carousel horse pillow. The reason I call it a Carousel horse pillow, the center of the pillow has a little carousel horse actually stitched on netting. Now, did I stitch this carousel horse? No. This I had done in England, so it came in from the factory. So I cut a piece in the middle. Going down on the beautiful Normandy lace, can you see all the different lace shaping and these wonderful machine embroidered stitches to decorate? Here's another one of the lovely machine embroidery stitches. And on the edge of this pillow, there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of lace stitched together to make a beautiful wide lace edging. And let me show you underneath here. Guess what? There is some netting once again with the beautiful lace edging on the edge. Now, I bet some of you are thinking, well, how in the world did you get all of those pieces put in there? Well, it's really very easy. You just take it one step at a time. The first step is this paper pattern, drawn on tissue paper, or actually it's pattern paper. Draw the designs off, and here I actually even have the numbers in there, 3/8 inch lace, 1/2 inch lace, 7/8 inch lace. So, as in most other type of sewing, the first thing you do is start with a pattern. Now, Normandy lace, do you remember the three ingredients? Water-soluble stabilizer, which looks a little bit like plastic. And by the way, what is water-soluble stabilizer? Well, it looks like plastic, and guess what? When you put water on it, it simply magically disappears. That's why it's called water-soluble stabilizer. Step number 2. All right, after drawing it on, I have my water-soluble stabilizer. See this little plastic-looking thing here? On top of my paper pattern. Okay, I'm going to lace shape. In this case, I have a piece of lace edging, and I'm going to pull it around into a circle. So I'll shape the lace edging into a circle, and I will pull the string and make it lay flat. And I shape all of my laces on this water-soluble stabilizer. Now, how did all of the rest of the goodies, including the netting, get in on this project? It's really very simple. All right. Each piece of netting, now here we go, I've got netting, water-soluble stabilizer. And this particular square has a machine built-in embroidery on it. So I stitch through those 2 layers, then I take the whole piece over and zigzag it to my pillow top. Here's a little bit better example right here. Here is the netting, the water-soluble stabilizer, and the machine built-in embroidery stitches have been stitched on top of here. Then guess what? I'm going to take the whole piece, lay it right down on top of my stabilizer and my netting, and then I'm going to once again zigzag all the way around. This case is kind of like a little moon or half pie shape, and then I will go in once again and cut it away. Zigzag it down and cut it away. This is how I get the netting in between each one of these little pieces. And ladies and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen watching, that is absolutely all there is to making a Normandy lace carousel horse pillow. Our little blue-eyed blonde doll absolutely loves her Normandy lace dress. This is the little pattern for this series, which is an exact copy of an antique doll dress, which I have. Starting at the top, you can see she has her Normandy lace shaping, a little motif. Then there's some little pieces of lace edging and insertion stitched right down on top of the netting. Her little sleeve is just purely netting, and isn't that pretty how you can see her arm through the sleeve? And of course a little silk ribbon run through the entredeaux on the edge. The skirt, I think, is absolutely wonderful. All kinds of interesting Normandy lace shapes. Little squares with a motif. Here's a little square section once again, which is mitered at the bottom. A beautiful piece of lace edging is on the bottom, and I'll let you see her petticoat, which is a pink Swiss batiste with a little bit of lace edging on it. I absolutely love to copy antique clothes, both for dolls and for people. Now, this is a very easy skirt to make, so what I'm going to do is take you one step at a time through making the Normandy lace doll skirt. Here is my piece of netting, which represents the skirt. Now, I have to draw off my squares. Here's one square, here's one square. That is for placement. And this is the center piece, the little long piece, rectangular piece. Now then, in order to make the squares, first of all, you have a little piece of Swiss motif, and then I will miter the edging around that to make my little square, which looks like this after it's done. You see the miters on the corner around the little Swiss motif. Now, how do you miter? Let's go back and review that once again. I put my edging and my insertion, which have been stitched together, down one side. Okay, I have a miter line drawn right here. That's absolutely necessary for this easy fold back miter method. Okay, I'm going to put a pin at the end, come in here and put a pin at the other end, and then guess what I do? I fold the lace back on itself, remove the pin that goes through 2 layers, and I bring the lace out, and guess what? There is a perfect miter which has been stitched in, very easy to do. Okay, let's try that one more time. Go over to the edge, pin on the outside, pin on the inside, pin on the outside, bring the lace back on itself, remove the lace that goes through 2 layers, and voila! Can you see? That beautiful rectangular piece has been folded in, and now all I have to do is go to the sewing machine and zigzag it down. Normandy lace has been beautiful, used on lots of different items for the show today. Guess what? We're going to use Normandy lace also on our beautiful craft project. My craft for today is so easy to make, it's just absolutely unbelievable. It's a little Potpourri Normandy lace box, and it's just tied with this wonderful netting trimmed with lace. Now let me just show you how to make this. It's so easy. First of all, start with just a regular little jewelry box like you get in a department store. Now this one box will actually make 2 of these little Potpourri boxes. So I'm going to start out using the bottom of this box. The first thing I do is glue on, right onto this little box, I glue on a pretty piece of lace insertion. All right, where does the Normandy lace part come in? Here is the piece of netting, and I'm going to zigzag on or straight stitch, either one. I'm going to zigzag or straight stitch a piece of lace edging around the ends. You don't have to put it all the way around, it can just go around the ends. Then I'm going to put a piece of insertion and miter the corner here, just on the corners, the 2 opposite corners. Then I take my bag of Potpourri, put a little bit of Potpourri into the box, and I tie it all up. I simply lay it over the top and tie it all up, and that is my simple little sweet Normandy lace craft for today. Next, we're going to show you a beautiful quilt square, once again using our famous Normandy lace technique. This beautiful quilt square actually has Normandy lace also. The quilt square has a green piece of silk dupioni underneath it which shows through. These are machine built-in stitches, just stitched right on the netting. Since my initials are MCP, I have my initials stitched in these little squares. And do you see the Normandy lace shape just zigzagging and mitering? How in the world do we make this quilt square? Well, really, it's very easy. First, start off with a piece of netting. exactly the size of the quilt square. And I have the green piece under here just so you can see how it shows through. And then the real fun begins. All right, I trace off exactly what I want to do, and I begin to put pieces of lace. You see, underneath here I have my salvie, I have my netting, and I have one more piece of water-soluble stabilizer. Then I begin to put pieces down any way I want to. And you see how we did the lace shaping in the middle? I just came down, pin at the top, pin at the bottom, brought both of the pieces up and did the same kind of mitering once again, bringing it back. And then after I finish all of the work on the lace shaping, once again, I put the green piece down and trim around it to actually make it a quilt square. In my grandmother's trunk up in my attic, which we're going to go to see next, I have two beautiful Normandy lace antique pillows to share with you. Won't you come along to my attic? Today in my grandmother's trunk, I have two really beautiful Normandy lace pillows to show you. Actually, I think I purchased both of these somewhere in the United States, although, to tell you the truth, I don't remember exactly where I purchased them. The first Normandy lace pillow is really a pale ecru. It has two curved shapes in the middle. The first is a circle shape and has a little piece of Swiss batiste with embroidery in the center. The second is an oval shape, and it has, well, what looks like machine embroidery. I think it's a Swiss embroidery or English embroidery. Notice the use of edging on this pillow. You see the edging that is in there? Normally we think of edging as going on the edge of something, but in Normandy lace, frequently one finds edging mixed up all over the pillow. This pillow, I think, is a little bit older. Once again, a very beautiful antique Normandy lace pillow. The shape in the center is a circle with insertion and edging and beautiful embroidery on it. And then this is an oval, or rather a half moon shape. And once again, it has beautiful embroidery. And you know what? With today's modern sewing machines and a little bit of netting, isn't it exciting that we can make our own embroidery to go on Normandy lace? For our Sewing for the Heart segment of this show, I have a really sweet letter here from a lady by the name of Diana Gaskins from Tyrone, Georgia. May I share this letter with you? At one time, I was employed as a nurse in a health department clinic in a poor section of Omaha. During a visit home, my mother was appalled to learn that many children in my caseload would have to start kindergarten without a new dress or a new shirt, something my brother and I always took for granted. A few weeks later, I received a big box in the mail. It was filled with little dresses with sashes and plaid shirts with bright buttons. How delighted I was to distribute these lovingly made little garments to my very special children. I hope you will find this story appropriate for the Sewing from the Heart segment of your show. It is only one story about a dear lady who has spent her life doing for her family and for others. You know, when my children were little, I remember how much fun it was to make them a new shirt or a new dress to start school. I can still remember Joanna's first day of school dress. It was a little red and white gingham and had a little school bus smocked across the front. And I thought this was the sweetest story, and I think it really would be nice to remember that all children don't have new clothes to start school. So you see, with your sewing machine and a little bit of love, you can make some child, just like Diana Gaskin's mother did, you can make some child a new dress or a new shirt so he or she can have a new garment to start school. Thank you for coming to my sewing room today, and I'll see you next time.